Something that's happening right now in the state is we are hearing the inflation and the cost of gas, and those day-to-day living expenses is really hurting the average Californians. Right. And somehow it doesn't look like, I mean, some of the state legislatures are starting to talk about it, but somehow there's a disconnect because there was a new ruling.
I know.
And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's fascinating because I was talking with a good friend of our governor on the way over here. And he really cares about Mr. Newsom, and he cares about his future career. And he said to me something that I think phrased it really well. He said, you know, we had this historic election where even in blue California, voters rebelled. And you had many counties that were blue before vote for Mr. Trump. You had segments of cities vote for Mr. Trump. You had Democratic constituencies vote for Mr. Trump, Latinos. And yet the first response of our governor was to call a special session, to raise taxes and spending, to sue the federal government, and for the Air Resources Board to raise taxes on gasoline by 65 cents, right? And yet when every poll, and I forget what he said, but he said something like, you know, every poll showed that inflation was one of the biggest reasons why the Democratic Party lost ground in 2024. And yet the first two headlines after the election were, we're going to spend more money to sue the federal government and your gas is going to go up by 65 cents. I mean, I think that that's a mistake. And I'll tell you, Gavin Newsom has a fantastic political weather vane. He usually knows just in his heart, in his instinct, which way to go. I think lately something has been wrong with his weather vane. I'm not sure why, but those two headlines right after the election, I think sent the wrong message.
There is another thought that we wanted to talk to you about is the fact that some people left California.
Yes.
It is one of those statistics that somehow these people don't really matter.
Sure.
Do you think there has been enough attention from the state on these people that have left the state?
Excellent question, and I don't. I think there has not been enough attention given to people who leave California. And I want to make it something where elected officials feel it personally. And I don't know how people can do that other than to tell the stories of the people who leave California, right? You start with the fact that why did people come to California to begin with? And it's because we were the American dream on steroids, right? We were everything that was good about this country was in California. It was the land of opportunity. You could come here from Austria and you could work out at a gym and you could be discovered and you could become a star. And not only a star, you could become governor. And of course, we're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? You could come here with no money in your pocket. You could come here persecuted from a regime around the world. But you could come here with intelligence and smarts and drive, and you could start a business. And you could become a pillar of your community. Your kids could go to the best schools. And you think about all the people who have come to California over the years, people who fled the Dust Bowl, people who came here from Oklahoma and Arkansas in the Great Depression with nothing in their pockets because of what California stood for. And now all of these people from all these different groups are leaving. And again, it breaks my heart when politicians dismiss those statistics, like they dismiss crime statistics. And they say, oh, you know, these are just right-wing people who just, no. These are everyday people who felt like originally their families felt like this was where they wanted to make their fortune and raise their family. And now, for whatever reason, they have given up hope. They've given up hope on their children ever buying a house. They have given up hope on their children ever attending a good university. They have given up hope on living in a community that is a safe place to live. And they've given up hope on affording the basics like gasoline, right? And I think that is something that leaders ignore at our peril. Because, you know, if I can't even convince one of my fellow politicians to pay attention to this based on the stories I've told, based on how the American dream can become heartbreak, then I will tell them, how about raw power? Because I'll tell you, in the next reapportionment, California is going to lose electoral votes. We're no longer going to have the electoral votes we have. Not at all. The population is shifting towards Florida. It's shifting towards Arizona, shifting towards Texas, shifting towards Idaho. So we're going to lose political power. And by the way, when you lose electoral votes, you lose congressional votes too, right? They're going to redraw. We're going to lose congressional seats. And again, those congressional seats are going to go to another part of the country. So if we want to continue to have an outsized effect on politics and continue to have 1/10 of the nation's congressional delegation, well, then we've got to continue to keep people here. And so, if my fellow politicians don't listen to the real stories of people who can't make it here anymore, I just appeal to their sense of power. And I say California is going to have a lot less power moving forward unless we do something.
We are honored to be sponsored by Shen Yun. Shen Yun Performing Arts is reviving 5,000 years of lost Chinese traditional culture. It takes you back in time to the magical world of ancient China with a unique blend of brilliant dancing, beautiful costumes, and legends coming to life. The show choreography and production values are top-notch. However, it isn't just the technical ability of the dancers. It's the inner beauty and the devotion of the artist that will stir your soul to move you to tears. Make sure to go see it this year. Go to shenyun.com and book your tickets today.
It was spectacular, so beautiful.
I thought I was going to heaven.
Oh, it was electric.
I'm getting chills talking about it.
It gets a 10 from me, that's for sure.
It was that good.
Absolutely marvelous.
Hands down the best show I've ever seen.
Mike, we have been putting some effort in meeting some of our state legislature and interviewing them on the show. And one of the things that they have told us, mostly everyone has told us, is that they have a good pulse on the community they represent. And they actually vote based on that community. So if the district, they say the district wants this. I'm in a deep blue district wants this, so I vote according to what the district wants. And we get input from the community on a regular basis.
In most cases, my response would be nonsense. Nonsense. Because I can tell you that very few lawmakers read their emails and read their mail. And very few lawmakers, even in their communities, understand the nuance of their district. So it's one thing to say, my district is 60% Democratic, 70% Democratic. Say, okay, that's great. But what type of Democrats? Democrats come in many shapes and sizes, right? And there are Democrats whose main issue is the environment. There's Democrats whose main issue is organized labor and the working people. And there's Democrats whose main issues are social issues, right? Consumer issues, social issues, personal issues. And I think to say, well, just my district, 60% Democrat. Okay, so what does that mean? I mean, there are districts that are 60% Democrat in the Central Valley where their main issue is what are you going to do for workers? What are you going to do for workers' rights? They don't care about social issues. And there's districts in West LA where, let's be honest, they don't care so much about workers. They're filled with very wealthy people. Their main concern are social issues, right? And I question that. When you have the state legislature pushing to get Prop 36 off the ballot and pushing to do all these substitutes, and then Prop 36 passes with 70% of the vote, how in touch could they really be? How in touch could they really be with their district? I would ask those people, well, look at your votes on crime over the years, and then tell me the passage rate of Prop 36 in your district. These statistics are available. Clearly, I don't think we would have had the surprise that we had with Election Day if everybody was that in touch with the electorate right now.